Richa, I want to come back to you. We've been talking about how government is changing itself, how paper-based processes are going digital, how a lot of things that we used to do by visiting offices have gone digital, and how all of this is creating phenomenal efficiencies for companies. Having said this, let's talk about what companies have to do differently in order to stay on the right side of the law.
Thanks, Rishi. So, as I had mentioned earlier also, it is, I feel, absolutely imperative to digitize the compliance management processes. Today, if you see, even for a privately held organization, I'm not talking about large listed companies, I'm talking about closely held private organizations. The compliance burden has increased many-fold. And even a small, minor non-compliance reflects, very low level of corporate governance standards. So in case we'll continue to remain dependent on these manual processes, what I feel is the risk of delays will increase, defaults will increase, and errors will continue to persist. Hence, as you had mentioned, this transition from a paper-based to a paperless environment is very crucial. I remember the time when we used to, completely remain dependent. As I had mentioned earlier also, we used to remain completely dependent on government bureaucracies and officers, etc. for a lot of compliance, processes. And even for, collating the compliance reports which we're supposed to present to the management or to the board of directors, we remain dependent on other teams' inputs to gather, all the periodic compliance statuses of different areas of compliances. And
Your comment reminds me of a compliance certificate that I have recently seen. To whomsoever it may concern, we are in compliance with the law of the land. It is to certify, and there's no detail, right? It doesn't say how many compliances were there, what got complied with, what is pending, what is the risk level, who's defaulting. There's no detail. It just says we are in compliance with the law of the land. Ab jo karna hai kar lo.
Exactly, and it's very easy to say that. And what is very difficult and very tedious is to go and reach out to every different department, ask them details. So there are a lot of departments, that deal with compliance. The compliance officer's responsibility sometimes is to compile the compliance status from different, functions. So a compliance officer is not expected to be, an expert in all the laws. So for a taxation, for taxation laws, you have to reach out to the tax department to know what is the status update on the compliance level, right? A compliance officer is not supposed to be doing all the work. So sometimes it's very tedious to reach out to different department to compile the data and present a report to the management, and it is never 100% correct.
That's clerical, right? I mean, if you have to do that, it's a clerical role. It's like picking up the phone every now and then and calling someone and saying, listen, there are 5 compliances pending against your name. When can you do that? And the way I see it, people at your level or Ravi's level, they need to start migrating the role from a clerical role where you're picking up phones after so much qualification and so much education. That's the last thing you want to be doing. I mean, you want to move from that role to a governance professional's role where planning, strategy, maturity of systems, assurance-based design of systems becomes the key.
I couldn't agree more. And now with all these technology solutions, you can pull out the compliance report in minutes. And there are a lot of technology-based compliance management, softwares available these days. They not only help you keep up with the fast-changing regulatory environment, but they also help eliminate the risk of non-compliances. They have multiple features, and a compliance officer can keep a track on all the compliance level of the company. They provide you with real-time regulatory updates. There are periodic alerts. You can generate compliance reports. And the most interesting thing is you can even manage your board meetings, your shareholders meeting, and committee meetings with these software. There's a very minimal, manual intervention which is needed. Everything is available these days at a click of a button, and it just helps you stay ahead of the curve.